The cruise from the other side. My wife had an affair 11 years ago. I found out when she went on a cruise with her sisters, and I called the cruise line to send flowers. When they said my wife wasn't registered, they asked if she was registered under another name. A voice in my head had me blurt out my so-called best friend's name, and there she was, registered with him in his cabin. They would not give me the room. I left a message and she called me back crying, said she was sorry and was sick to her stomach. She said he went because her sisters were short on money and he covered it. They felt bad and asked him to go. She also said she wanted to see what it would feel like waking up next to him. When she rolled over in the morning and it was him instead of me, she freaked out. She said she was ashamed and she felt like jumping off the ship. So now I had to balance being shocked, angry, hurt, with worrying about her jumping ship. He got off the ship and flew home immediately. I had several days to think about what happened and I was just crying and worried that I lost my wife and family. I never had a chance to show anger because I was afraid it would push her to him. We ended up going to counseling but got bad advice. I was told I had to accept blame, put it behind us, and move forward. Rug sweep. I was also told that every time I brought it up, I was slowly ruining her self-esteem. I now believe that my self-defense mechanism was to blame myself and everyone but my wife. If I pushed her away and she was manipulated by him, then it wasn't really her who did this to me. For the last 10 years she has been a loving wife. I have the problem. I'm loaded with guilt, because I begged her to stay, she did, and I am the one who suffers and can't let it go. There are too many triggers in life. He even has the same name as me, so it was an issue hearing his name in bed. I obviously need to move on from this. I just don't know how. She says as wrong as it sounds when she was with him. She wanted to be with me and always loved me. She thought there was someone else. There never was. I was pulling away as she had become flirtatious with this friend and others, and I could tell she loved the attention. We had many fights about this, and I always said someone is going to take your flirtations the wrong way. I turned to online videos and apparently, she saw me watching things at night. She thought there was someone else, but didn't ask me about it. She turned to my friend. There never was anyone else. Tea was just my alone time. I knew she was enjoying this newfound attention, and no matter what I said, I was being controlling. I felt like less of a man as this OM who had deep pockets was slowly buying his way into my family as I struggled. I have since stopped watching anything. I have had performance issues ever since the affair, and I know it's in my head because the morning missile is often there. I know now I should have been honest with my wife all along, but she moved on and I just didn't want to hurt her. I lived with the triggers and mind movies for 10 years, but I finally told my wife because she accused me of having an affair. I became friends with a new coworker who had worked for my brother before working with me. She always got along with, so we two became friends. My wife and I went to a work party at her house. We went to a sports bar many nights with her and her husband to watch games, and we went to a few family parties together, and it was never a problem. When her dad died, my wife and I went to the funeral and waked together, so I included her in everything. In the 3 years we worked together, there were never any activities outside of work unless my wife and others were there. No lunches, drinks, coffee, nothing. We talked at work, and we texted as well. Always had, often work-related, sometimes not. About 1.5 years ago, this coworker friend ended up telling me she was getting a divorce because her husband had multiple affairs throughout their 8-year marriage and she could no longer accept it. When they split up, my wife got jealous. This friend moved 2,000 miles away 6 months ago to start a new life. We still occasionally talk or text, mostly about her finding a job or about mutual friends here at work. But since she found a job and started working, there is no regular communication. I am happy that I finally was able to open up. I have felt for a long time like there was a monster inside of me trying to break out. I want my wounds to heal, and one day not have to talk about this anymore and just be happy. I have always been there for my family, and once this finally came out, I felt relief. Unfortunately, my wife tried to blame shift, saying this only came out because my friend got divorced. Her husband had affairs, and we talked. This just causes me to have anger and resentment. It takes a lot of effort to always say to myself that was in the past. We were both in a bad place. She made bad choices. I need to put it behind me and just enjoy the moment and look to the future that works. Until the next trigger, and then I have to make that same conscious effort to keep moving forward. Now I want to deal with it, and she's making it about someone else again. If she wants to believe that my friendship is an EA, fine, then it's a non-physical EA. In 3 years, this person was never more than a good friend to me and has always said my situation is different than hers. I should do my best to work things out. I should get professional help, be honest with myself, and take care of me. I know I need professional help. I'm sharing this to see if maybe someone else has experienced anything like this, and how they make the memories and thoughts go away. My problem is I buried them. allowed them to fester for years. And I now feel after this long, they are there for good. I have told her something in me died 11 years ago and my lack of desire for bonding and my performance issues back that up. I love and care for her. But as the old saying goes, I don't know if I could be in love with her. The update is my wife was originally blaming all of this on my supposed year with my friend. I told her if it was an emotional affair. It was a one-sided, non-physical yeah, and I could accept it because I finally was able to get this all out and in the open so I could finally deal with it, so I really didn't care. She continued to place blame and I stood firm saying I made this about someone else 11 years ago and I've had to live with it. My choice, but I would no longer allow that to happen. This is about me and this is my time to work through this and try to heal. After a few days she said, I want you to cut off all contact with your friend or we can no longer be together. 180. If you can't completely cut her from your life, we need to get bills taken care of, sell the house, split things and move on because I can no longer accept this. After all this. That's what she got from the forum and my thread. I again held firm and said it's two different issues and once again you are making this about someone else and shifting blame. And I will not allow it. I said I could cut off communication if I thought it would help, but she has been nothing more than a friend to me. She never came on to me one time, and actually told me with our history, our family, and all of the years we have together. We should try to work through this. Do you know how many people have said you've always been a stand-up guy and have always there for your family? It's time for you. She cut up the leather coat he bought for her that was still in our closet. She went through our old pictures to get rid of any pictures with him. And she pulled out all of the expensive jewelry from him that was still in a box in our closet. I take blame for the jewelry being there. She was originally going to give it back and I said no way. We are talking a 3,000 or 4,000 bracelet bought on the cruise, and 2 rings loaded with diamonds, one that looked like a wedding ring with a big heart-shaped diamond that was supposedly a limited edition. At the time I did not want him to have the satisfaction of him getting them back. I didn't want to sell them because it was his dirty money. So they were just put away and not touched or talked about. This was a very bad idea on my part and I pulled them out more than once over the years without talking about it. Talk about a trigger. I ended up saying I was tired of the merry-go-round and I was getting off. I said I can no longer act like everything is okay and then just have this stuff keep coming back up again and again. I lived in our house with all these memories for all these years. She was trying to tell me my supposed he was every bit as bad and painful as her affair. I disagree and tell her we were friends. It was never physical. She was trying to be honest and she finally told me that even though they did it in our house, they never did it in our bed. She then said they also went to his girlfriend's place a few times, but they usually went to his house. Never knew about her place. Not sure I wanted to. I am finally being honest with her, and honest with myself, and my head has never been clearer. The fog has lifted. I started sleeping on the couch a couple weeks ago and spending more time at work and away from the house. We are being civil to each other and she has finally said she knows she was wrong. She knows it was all her and no one made her do this. She has said she is sorry and she is scared of losing me and she feels like she is losing her life. Everything. She keeps asking me if she can have a hug and I have given them to her a few times. And I still feel numb and still have no desire. I have told her that I still need to move forward with getting things done around the house, selling it. And we will probably get divorced. At that time, we need some time apart and depending how I feel, we could maybe start dating. I said I would not even rule out remarrying at some point, but our present marriage should have ended 11 years ago. I know at times our relationship has been toxic, and although she counts 30 years, I started over after D-Day and we both deserve better than where we are at. I don't like putting her through this, and although I went through hell, she had moved on and thought it was behind us. But I tell myself, I never saw the affair coming either, and it hit me like a Mack truck and no one worried about my feelings back then. It's nice finally being in the driver's seat, and my destination is personal growth and being happy. If it can include her, fine. If not, right now it has to be all about me. She tried shifting blame and doing a 180 on me, saying I had to cut off all contact with my friend or we were done. Sell the house, pay bills, and split up. That didn't work because I agreed. She then did a complete 180, meaning now she says she is sorry. She will accept whatever I decide, but she loves me and wants to spend the rest of her life with me. She says she is the one who did this. She cannot make it about anyone else. Did she do this because that's how she really feels? Because I stood strong? Because she read my original thread and read some vicious attacks on her that hit home? Because she is scared? Just like the question, would she have ended the affair had I not caught her? I will never really know. These last 11 years we have had some good times and our boys were allowed to grow up in their home. I am the one who wasn't honest about my true feelings and kept it to myself. She now knows I can no longer be manipulated, as I have finally stood up for myself and made it clear this is about me. And what she did. Nothing else. I appreciate your opinion, but you must have been really crap on bad to have such a vulgar outlook, as I have read some of your other comments. Don't be sorry for me. I don't need your pity, and I actually feel sorry for you. I watched this woman take care of my dad and mom when they were slowly passing. I was with her 4 years ago when she survived cancer, and I cried like a baby when she got it and when I knew she was okay after her surgery. This is not about now. My issue is it was a horrible, earth-shaking experience that hurt me to my core, and I never got over it and probably never will. I tried to accept it and move on, but it was always there. So, no matter what I tell myself, she still chose to do it, and I need to choose whether or not I want to continue to stay with her and live with the memories. Right now, I think we're two good people who will be better off as friends. Time will tell. She knows how I feel, and I should have spoken up as well. I mean, if I act like it doesn't bother me. The pics were because he became such a close, family friend and did so much with us. He was in pics for years. We would have had to sit down and pull out boxes stored away and go through them. Our garage, basement, and a couple rooms in our house could qualify for hoarders. Well, not quite that bad, but no organization. We chose to just bury it and not go there. No one was pulling them out and looking at them, and I sure never found them anywhere near my bed or nightstand. So, she wasn't touching them. Again, shouldn't have been there, and I was a fool for allowing it. I know this. No more doormat. I processed my feelings and worked through them without trying to resolve it by dropping my pants. I understand why my mind and feelings went where they did. I had someone that I could talk to, who understood what I was feeling, who had empathy and cared, but who, unlike my guy friends, told me I should get therapy to take care of me and maybe work things out. She said, unlike her, we had a long history and a family with kids together. And that although it was ongoing, it was with one man, not multiple partners. Yes, I became attached, but I understood why. We rarely contact anymore, and when we do, it is job, work, or friend related. If you or my wife feel I betrayed her, I am okay with that because I know where I have been and where my head is at now. I know at one time, I crossed a line, but it was one-sided and I was honest about it. Also, this friend didn't cross that line. She has stayed a true friend who actually cared. Nothing more. If I hadn't opened up, I would still be suffering silently with all of the memories and triggers. And my wife would be going on blindly enjoying life as if all was okay. It's not, and I'm not, and it turns out I had a lot of buried and repressed feelings and emotions that had to be released. I actually feel better, but my wife can't accept it. She is sweet and understanding only so long, and then she blows up because she can't handle this being about what she did to me. So her self-defense kicks in and she tries to make it about what she believes I've done to her. I have been passive-aggressive my entire life, and I will no longer sit back and accept it. If it was just this friend, I could accept it, but no matter who I talk to, if she thinks the other person is attractive, she feels threatened and accuses me of cheating. I have never even held another girl's hand once in 30 years. Not once, and yet I'm treated like the cheater. I tell her I hate that after such an ultimate betrayal I gave her my trust, and yet she can't trust me. Her answer is, I trust you. I just don't trust other women. My answer is, if you really trusted me, the other women shouldn't matter. No apologies. This time it's all about me. One thing I asked her was why this was so fresh now after all these years. I said on the way driving out I was thinking I wished I had come a while ago when the pain and anger was fresher. On the way up I seriously felt okay. Well, as soon as I started talking about it, my voice trembled, my eyes welled up, and I wasn't okay at all. She said, let it out, it's been in there a long time. Her answer to my question was that the brain is very complex and it often buries traumatic memories or events, sometimes forever. And sometimes just until a time when we are more capable of dealing with things. She said, you have probably matured and grown a lot during these years. Events happened that led up to all this, and now it's finally coming out, and that's good. I got out most of my story, as well as how I have been passive-aggressive since being a child, and dealing with the affair this time around is the first time. I have been assertive and have stood up for myself pretty much ever. I told her of this forum, and she was glad to know I was on here and said it is healthy to find I'm not alone. Although I am somewhat alone in my extended delayed reaction to finally admitting to how this has affected me and changed who I am. After the session, my wife wanted to know how it went, and I was somewhat vague. I have been and I have tried to keep distance without being an ass. The last time we went dancing, basically her line dancing and me having a beer, talking with a few people and maybe getting out there for a few. I bought her, myself, and 2 girls, regulars that she dances with, a beer. It started because someone mentioned a blue moon with an orange slice. One girl said, I don't know if I'd like that. The other said, "Oh, they are very good." I said, "If you want to try it, I will buy the first round." I included myself, both girls, and my wife. Although this is somewhat common and friends are always buying a round for others, including us, because one of the girls is somewhat attractive and therefore threatening to my wife. I could tell she was upset. Again, the old me would have said, "I'm sorry," or "I won't do it again," or maybe not even do it in the first place. But I knew I was doing nothing wrong, so I wasn't going to let it bother me. She didn't say anything to me, but she wrote her thoughts out on a paper and left it where I would see it, talking about how she was not happy about me buying drinks for other girls. Again, we as well as others have bought drinks before. It wasn't that I did it. It was that she felt threatened. I get it, but the rules only changed, not because I did it, but because of who it was. Yet she talks to this girl, hugs her, acts friendly with her, and I'm not supposed to say hi. After it came out that she was upset, I finally said, "I will no longer go there unless you give me a list of who I can talk to and who I can't." I said, "I have been standing there talking with one of your friends before, and you walk away to dance or go outside and have come back in, and you've gotten mad 2 other times before over 2 other girls, all her friends, but then other times you're fine. I don't get it, but it is not fun for me to stand there by myself watching everyone have fun and actually have people ask me, 'Are you okay?' Or you could at least smile. So I will stay home, as I know that is your fun and I don't want to ruin it." She says, "No, that's not what I want, and I need to learn from my insecurities." I tell her I am still tired of not being trusted after giving her trust. I have a pretty good track record. She is on her way home to talk, but I will continue this later. And trust me, the insanity continues. And yes, still sleeping in an adjacent room, and she is not happy about that either. After the above night, I said I will no longer go there. I stopped in again last Wednesday. That's a night our friends are there with free lessons and no cover. I was just having a drink that a friend, guy, bought me and planned on staying for an hour or so. My wife was dancing, having a good time, and I decided to do a walk around the bar to see if any friends that I knew might be there. My older son has many friends that go to this place as well, and they often like to say hi. As I walk around the corner, I see the woman, one of them anyway, that apparently my wife feels threatened by. I said hi and said I haven't been here in a while. The last time was a week and a half ago when we had the blue moons. She said, "Yeah. I've been working a lot, that was the last time I was here too." I said, "Well, have a good night," and I proceeded to walk around the outer perimeter of the dance floor and eventually made my way back where I started. I had one more drink and went home. Nothing more was said that night. A couple nights later, I had shown my wife and son a new software update on their phones, and they started the update. I was playing guitar in the living room and also checking my phone, and my wife was having problems with the download for her update and was mumbling about it, and I stopped and went in to help. I then went back into the living room and she was again having a problem. I actually started to get irritated and I yelled, "Give me a minute. I'm checking my phone." The calm finally ended and she went off about me being on my phone and me enjoying my space and me having my private life. She actually was upset enough she said "F you," which doesn't often happen. And I said it back and I retreated upstairs. That night, as I was getting ready for bed, in my room, she finally came in and unloaded on me. She said I was sneaking around and I'm a cheater as well. She called me a thief because of a few items I bought home from work that were being discarded, as well as something that had been left there by my friend who had quit and moved away. She called me manipulative, a liar. And this went on and on. She also then brought up last Wednesday when we were at the dance hall, and she said, "I saw how you managed to sneak around the corner to talk to women. I watched you. You thought because I was dancing, I wouldn't notice, but you went around the corner, talked to her, and then walked around the entire bar thinking I wouldn't notice." I said, "Wow, you actually were watching me the entire time, weren't you?" I told her I did nothing wrong and that although she claims to not trust the girls, in reality she doesn't trust me. Because if she did, they would be a non-issue. I tried to reason and she would say, "That's right, you are the perfect guy who never does anything wrong. You have an answer for everything." I also tried to explain about the equipment and said I could have done all that behind her back too if I was trying to be sneaky or do something wrong. But no, it was all in the open. We went together to a gathering of friends and I dropped it off. We even took pictures, so again, I always thought everything was okay, and now I find she was harboring resentment over that as well. And now I am a thief too. Because of her verbal assault, I almost left again that night, but I really have nowhere to go and right now we have no extra money. I stayed. She eventually went to sleep and we have been back to not saying much to each other. We started to talk yesterday, but she actually started in about how she thought she was okay with the past situation with my friend from work who moved away over 6 months ago. But apparently, she's not, and was making all of our issues about me again. I said, "You are just not okay with me in general, and it all comes down to you did me wrong big time." I forgave you and gave you trust. And you don't trust me. I then reinforced that I will not allow her to make our problems about me and what she believes I've done. This is about what happened in the past, and I am finally dealing with it whether she can accept it or not. I had plans to go out on my own last night, but a mutual friend stopped over to help my son with a project bike, and we all just hung out at home and then to bed. Alone. Today is a new day. I try to keep my life as drama-free as possible, but there has been enough of it in my family. I just want peace in my life. I need to put this behind me one way or the other. I just got bad advice from a marriage counselor years ago. I do my best to enjoy every day, and I take care of my wife and family. Our only problem has been being physically incompatible. She wants me, in my mind, since the affair. I believe she just wants a fun time. If I don't catch her in the morning, it rarely works right, because I know she will at some point call out my name, and it's an instant trigger because I hear his name. That's the only trigger I can't live with. Our physical life has gone from great to okay, too bad, to worse. And she still says it's okay as long as she has me. She still gets very wet. My problem is, I can't enjoy it, or believe it, because of what she did. I know she's a physical person, and I believe she deserves someone that is into her. I might regret it, and it could be the worst decision I ever make, but something's got to change, and God knows I've tried. If you want to call that being addicted to drama, fine. I don't think drama has anything to do with it. We have only been sleeping apart for about 1 month, and I have my next therapy session tomorrow night. How long did it take all of you to figure things out and either move on or accept it? Even my therapist said in cases of something as traumatic as this, the brain can bury things or find ways to rationalize it until you're ready to deal with it. The triggers were always there, and I just accepted them because that's all I knew. It wasn't until my wife accused me of an affair and I denied it and finally told her what really troubled me that these repressed feelings all came out. When I heard her say, if your affair isn't physical, then it is emotional, and that is every bit as bad, I snapped. There was no affair. There was confusion on my part. I have owned up to it and moved on. Please read my original thread that I edited down because everyone was being too harsh, and tell me it was not horrid how I found out. I can't for the life of me figure out how I accepted it, how I put it behind me, and how I moved forward. Now that it's all out and I'm finally dealing with it, I can't talk about it without crying. I go through anger, hurt, and back to anger again. The biggest problem is the guilt. I begged her to stay. She did, and I believe she's faithful, and I just can't let it go. I don't want a divorce, but I feel I will have to get one for her or me to have any chance at real happiness, and it sucks. That's why I'm finally seeing a therapist on my own. I have my second therapy session tonight, and I will see how it goes. One clarification. My actual response to my wife was if I was having an affair. It was a one-sided non-physical affair. There was never any reciprocation. It was all in my head, but yes, I did own up to my misguided feelings. I worked through them. I understand how and why it happened, and I am glad it happened, and once the fog lifted I saw things clearer than I have seen for over 10 years. I can't explain it any other way, obviously. No one here really knows me or her. But she has come to me and asked me what she can do to help me, and what I need from her. I have told her I don't know. Right now I just need space to figure things out. This is difficult for me but hard on her too. It came out of left field for her, and she thought we were okay. Kind of like how I thought we were okay before I found her on the cruise with our friend. Maybe I am toying with her, I'm not sure. That is one of the things I am addressing in counseling. I seriously have always been somewhat passive, aggressive, and have always been a doormat. This is probably one of the first times in our marriage that I have stood my ground, and it actually feels good. I feel somewhat in control for a change. I can't go back to where we were. And after being with someone for 30 years, I'm not sure where forward is either. I am hoping therapy and seeing what others experience on here will help me make the right decision for me. Comments. Your situation is really very complex. I think that your mind is circling around a truth, but unable to see it because you are not sure what you are looking for. In my opinion, by you being railroaded into forgiving without even coming to terms with her betrayal, it made it harder for you to see the truth that she is declaring loudly right now. Look at her response when you only talk to another woman. Look at how she flips on a dime and unloads such cruel words. You can hang on forever and try to prove that there is some depth to her real love for you. Maybe you're hoping that these periods where she shows her true self through jealousy and contempt for you are just not really who she is. But I suspect that you'll see more of it as time passes. She got what she wanted at the time of the affair, her experiencing the best of both worlds, soon. I can't help but wonder if she'll say that there's just too much unforgiveness in your heart. And how could any woman live with that? I'm afraid that you are finding what many other men on this site also find when they instinctively sweep their wife's betrayal under the rug, or the women who do the same when their husband cheats. Your wife can't even forgive you for making eye contact with another woman. She can't tolerate having to experience consequences for her betrayal, feeling almost justified now that the years have passed. Just answer one simple question for yourself. Would she be capable of giving so deeply to you that she would be able to grant the forgiveness that she expected of you? If you went on that cruise and carried on a pretend marriage with another woman, would she have considered forgiveness if she had other financial means? I'm afraid that you are facing a very simple question. You saw your marriage as a two-person journey. One where you carried her when she was weak, did she? My comment, she's giving very little indication that she wouldn't have just left you by the wayside at any time, even now. That's why I feel so sad for some of the ones who come here. Many are on a one-man marriage journey with a partner who will simply cast them aside if things get tough. And they're too afraid to ask the questions that you are asking. And yes, there are women, many women, who view marriage just like you do. Part 2 ending of this story coming today. If you were OP, can you walk away from this